Maybe June hurricane season.
Yeah, welcome. Heat, humidity, and all the fun stuff.
Heat, humidity, and all the fun stuff.
Hmm.
Fun fact: Brandon lives in a flood zone.
Oh yeah, this house almost flooded. We had to take all the podcast equipment out of here. Um, that was well, I think we just set up or getting ready
Yeah,
to set up.
yeah,
I think
that
we did
was.
like one or two episodes,
Yeah, it
and
wasn't
then
even as pretty as it is now.
yeah, we might have did one or two episodes, and then man, that thing was gone.
Yeah, yeah.
We're up out of here. All right, but as always, we got Mr. Cleon Deal
Hey man,
and
what's up with it?
myself,
Hey man,
Mr. Brandon Haley.
how you doing, man?
What up? What up?
How's it going?
And it's going great, man. It's going great.
Good,
Um,
good.
just telling Cleon, a little bit about my week. And it's so good to have a friend like Cleon because I think I'm very logical, and then you hear him speak, and this man's extremely logical on certain things. But I think that's a conversation for a future podcast date.
Yeah,
With
what's
what we talked about, I think we're gonna have to talk about that again. Let's let some weeks go by.
pending the results of what happens here.
Pending the results to see if we really want to talk about this or not. But this is a hot podcast, humble, open, and transparent.
Yeah,
So regardless of the results, it's going to get spoken about.
yeah.
Maybe next week or the week after. But today, what are we doing today? What are we doing today?
We're gonna have some fun today, man. A lot of times we talk about our life and our own experiences, and we kind of tie that into a lot of things. But I want to talk about other people's problems today, and I want
Oh, we like
to,
that.
yeah,
Other people's
other
problems.
people's problems, and I want to talk about kind of if we were in that situation, how would we handle it? So, what would the real deal pod do in these
In these
situations?
situations,
All right.
uncut because I don't know what situations we're even talking about yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this will be fun. We'll get to see Brandon's live reaction to this.
and it might be
Um,
a wrong answer. And I'll probably say something and then I have to think about it and then change my answer like I usually do.
so bear with him. That's all we're
I
asking
am
for.
definitely someone who needs to think before he speaks. That is for sure. Definitely
That
need to think before I speak.
I can vouch for that.
1,000,000%.
So what I did, what a lot of other people do because it works. So I stole people's ideas. I went to Reddit just to kind of see what people are dealing with out there. Because, like I said, obviously we have our own situations, but sometimes
Hmm.
it's good to go to places to figure out maybe it's not so bad over here.
Yeah,
And
not
it's,
so bad.
I promise you, it's always worse on Reddit. Whatever you're
Hmm.
dealing with, it's always worse over there.
So if you want to feel better about yourself, is that a tip? Go to Reddit.
Go to Reddit. If you think your relationship sucks because your boyfriend didn't take out the trash this month, go to Reddit. Go to Reddit real
Go
quick.
to Reddit.
You might like him a little bit more after that.
It's a good idea. All right. So if your relationship is failing, step number one, go over to Reddit.
Go to Reddit. All right, so let's get into this first one. All right, so the title of this, I 33 female, because I guess ages are important on Reddit. I 33 female feel like I'm falling out of love with my 29-year-old male
Wait,
boyfriend.
how old? 30, oh, 33 and
33
29?
and 29, so a little bit of an age gap already. She's
Mm-hmm.
a little cougar action. I don't know. It's only 4 years, maybe. So here we go. So she says here, I'm feeling so down today. And honestly, for the last year, my partner and I fell in love pretty quickly. We would talk for hours and hours, even fall asleep talking to each other, only to wake up and continue to talking to each other before we went about our days. I remember, you remember those
I do, but is
days?
that not a red flag?
That's absolutely a red today at 29 and 33. I'm falling asleep on the phone with you to hang up and then wake up and call you in the morning.
Why wouldn't you just be over at that point?
Yeah, I don't got.
You're already like cutting into like my morning routine or
Yeah,
whatnot. So it's like,
we already got some codependence going on that we're seeing here.
yeah. That would be the red flag early on, and then what happens next?
Yeah, so it says we're in a long distance relationship. Another
Okay,
red
that
flag there. So
well,
that makes more sense
but
now.
that explains the phone
The
call
whole
and
phone
not
thing.
being there.
Yeah, right. So it says, but none of our issues have to do with the distance. After I broke agreements that seemed minimal to me at the time, such as giving people I met my phone number, not because I am interested in them sexually or romantically, but because I like making connections and all times it was with people that he was friends with. So she was giving out her number, even though they agreed not to give out numbers, but she thought it was fine because she likes making connections.
But who agreed? Did they?
It,
Oh, well,
she said that they agreed to it,
they came to
and
an
but
agreement.
she was like, it was. I thought it was a minimal thing, but they agreed to not doing it, but she still did that.
So clearly, he had to have came up with the idea to make that agreement.
Maybe that
The
is,
male.
maybe that's right. Maybe that was his
That's a
thing,
red
right?
flag right there.
Right. Okay. But I was able to recognize that what doesn't seem like a big deal to me could be a big deal to him, obviously.
Yes.
And he decided to start acting out of integrity after, in ways that felt like a really big deal to me, but weren't to him, such as sleeping with people and lying to me about what he was doing
Oh yeah,
repeatedly.
I think.
But just
All right.
because he gave out the phone.
So here's what it is. Here's what it is. This is easy to break down. Easy to break down.
We're only on the first paragraph.
Okay, all right. I just got this easy to break down. Women, if you want it, you got to stay away from these kind of men because number one, he showed codependency signs early. Number two, he showed controlling signs early, which are two of the red flags we already talked about.
Right.
Codependency with staying on the phone all night and all that. Like, no. You got to set your boundaries and you got to have your routine. You got to go to work. So you even if you're not going to work, you can't be on the phone all night like that. The red flags with controlling. You're going to make connections. You're going to talk to people. The male has to be secure in his own body and be as confident as possible. But by you saying, you putting a rule on somebody as simple as you can't grab another guy's phone number, bro. No, you shouldn't even be able to care. You shouldn't care who they text. Now, if they're going and doing what he just did in that situation, then now it's a problem. But clearly she didn't do that. She was making a connection. So basically that just shows the two red flags, which ultimately end up in the insecurity that the male has within himself.
Right.
And now he's not feeling like his partner is giving him that. So he goes and finds it somewhere else.
Right. And then he goes,
simple as that.
He retaliates in a much more harsh and drastic manner.
Yeah.
Because he felt like his agreements were broken. Interesting.
And his insecurities were violently loud. So he needed someone to quiet them. And this is a super common case of the average male today that just goes out and parties and drinks. You see it all the time. Like it's a super average case. Once you see those signs early, it's not cute. It's not sweet. Especially when they want to put a control on your life. That's a big one right there. Especially when it's about other men. They can ask questions. You can question your significant other, like, hey, who is this guy you're talking to? Why are you talking to him? But you shouldn't ever have to say, don't ever talk to him, unless she's like, oh, I think he's hot or something. But it's like, okay, well, that's a little weird. But sure, whatever. But it's like, you shouldn't have to put that control on them because at the end of the day, you got to have that confidence in yourself that you're the only person for them. And if you're not, you're not. And you can't control what people do anyways. So by controlling them, that's just showing your own insecurity.
All right.
And then that's what leads them to cheating.
Okay, cool.
Ultimately.
So then,
my opinion.
so he started sleeping with other people and lying to her about it, and lying about what he was doing repeatedly, and was really with a hookup buddy. I'm not telling me about, okay, and he wasn't telling her about it on his own, but she had to find out. So it seems like we were both holding on to resentment, which is crazy. It's like she's somehow equating these two things, which they're drastically like you giving your phone out. Cool. It was wrong because of the fact that you guys agreed that you wouldn't do it, but him deciding to sleep with people repeatedly is not. These aren't equal things. No. These aren't equal infractions.
They're not. They're not at all. But the way they make sense to the guy is because of his insecurities being broadcasted and her not being able to fill the void. So that's what happens with these kind of guys, is that they'll go and find whatever it is to fill the void. Now they fill the void, they feel better about themselves.
Right. Okay, cool. So then, so she had to find out on her own. It seems like we were holding on to resentment, even with resentment. I love him so much, and I show it to him constantly and in ways that it seems he enjoys receiving. Yet I'm constantly feeling ignored and not considered and unimportant to him from things that I judge myself for caring about. Like the fact that he likes every post this girl puts on the Instagram, he was crushing on throughout the whole beginning of our relationship.
Yeah, so that's when the question could come up. That's when the question could come up. It's
Right.
like if it's a past or something, be like, why are you talking about him?
Right.
But nah, that's an expired relationship, and she's gotta get up out of there.
She should have been out after the first paragraph, but
Yeah,
nonetheless-
100%. But here's the thing though, like
Right.
emotions will like take over your logic
right.
once you're in these relationships. So she's just thinking about that feel good feeling that he gives her,
Mhm.
but she doesn't really give him that kind of security that
Right.
he's yearning for. That's obviously why he's doing
Yeah,
what he's doing.
and I think that she's also convinced herself that she somehow kind of deserves his behavior because she broke the
And
small rule.
The small
So
rule,
I can't be mad at him for sleeping with a bunch of girls because I gave a guy my phone number.
and that's what women will do when they're loyal to their partner and they're in these committed relationships. But you have to stop wasting more years, especially at the age of 33.
Yeah.
Stop wasting more years. It's really hard. You have
Yeah.
to stop wasting more years of your life and get out of the expired relationship.
Right.
That's exactly what you got to do.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, but obviously she's coming to Reddit for some answers.
Yeah.
And just tag the Real Deal Combos, Real Deal Podcast, and we're giving you a 10-minute breakdown of your entire story.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, the relationship is expired. Not saying what the guy did is correct. It's absolutely incorrect.
Right.
But if you are aware of those as the woman getting into the relationship with the man,
Right.
if you're aware of those red flags in the beginning, this is the part that is easier to leave when you're in the beginning of it. If you see those red flags, you can get out of it. She's already so invested in it mentally and emotionally. When this stuff happens now, she thinks that she's part of the problem and she wants to do something to fix it. But if she could have just been more aware of the red flags in the beginning, she could have saved herself a lot of heartache down the road.
The other thing here is that this is a long distance relationship, bro. Just hang up on him. Like this shouldn't be that hard to break up with. But nonetheless, okay. So
not everyone's as logical as you. as we realized in the pre-show conversation, not everyone's as logical as you, Mr. G.
This is funny. Okay, so he judged myself for caring about like the fact he likes every girl's post that he put on Instagram that she was caring about, that he was crushing on, to bigger things like him and validating my feelings and being defensive when I mention my feelings and him even questioning me and asking me to prove I bought a flight to see him before he expressed we shouldn't make trips to see each other again until we resolve issues he had with me. I bought it 1 week before that combo because I
gaslighting. We talk about that one. He's narcissistic.
He wants to be so in control. I wanted to wait till she bought the flight to tell her, oh, I don't think we should see each other. He's crazy.
Yes.
He's insane.
So you women listening to this, you have to see those small red flags in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because those small red flags in the beginning, if you can see them and then remove yourself from the equation and say, what would I tell my friend in this situation?
Right.
With those small red flags, like the controlling of the phone numbers.
Yeah.
And wanting to stay on the phone. And I'm sure that was his idea. Let's just sleep together on the phone. No, bro, girl. Hey, good night. Get off the phone. If you can see those red flags in the beginning, you're going to save yourself so much time and pain down the road. But the problem is we choose to ignore.
Right. We choose to ignore.
Like, I'm just kidding. Red flags be looking like Six Flags.
Red flags look like Six Flags,
But then you're in it and it happens. Now the dude seems like an absolute lunatic and you're the one that's trying to get him to like you, but he's lost his marbles.
He's lost his mind, right?
The relationship is expired.
So he said, I've been working so hard to communicate in a way that is not creating blame or him being defensive and taking accountability for my feelings, but I am met with harshness and anger and retaliation. Truly feels like he doesn't even like me. Sometimes he doesn't.
No,
he's constantly correcting the way I talk, the way I move through the world. And he's very quick to remind me when I'm being defensive. I find that I take time afterward to reflect on how I show up and I own up to it and trying to change faster, but it's all moving on its own speed. Yet my observation is that he does not reflect on how he shows up and does not take accountability for it. It's very rare that he asks me about my day when he calls. The conversation is generally about him. When I go visit him, he sometimes ignores me and I'll just spend time playing video games by him. Oh, he'll spend time playing video games by himself, even if I ask if he wants to play the game together. Recently, when I visited him, I shared that I wanted attention and wanted to spend time with him because I was visiting him. And I shared that, mind you, she bought the ticket to go there. And now she has to ask him to spend time with him.
Yeah, no.
And I shared that I was hungry. And he's known that I can't eat gluten since we started dating over a year and a half ago. I mentioned that there was nothing without gluten in his apartment, and his response was that I am the issue and that he forgot how difficult it is to be with me, and he's not thinking about eating because he's overwhelmed and feels he's in survival mode, and he doesn't eat when he's in survival mode. What is he talking about?
Oh my God! Why are you still? You gotta go. Somebody, whoever her friend is, needs to give them the Blake Lively conversation.
Right.
I will not be your friend
If
for
you
as
go
long
back
as-
to him.
Yeah.
I got Lydia on my on the TikTok live. She said, "Girl, he hates you." She's right. He
Oh
does.
yeah. No.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure there's like a little bit. Maybe I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta stop wasting. You wasted plenty of time by not catching the red flags early.
Right.
They
Yeah.
gotta be plain as day right here. You know there's a problem. You're coming to Reddit.
Exactly. Right. You know there's a problem because
You
you're
know-
coming to Reddit.
You just sold the whole. You just spilled the whole beans on Reddit.
Right.
So you know there's a problem. You gotta
She
get up out of
knows.
there.
She then goes on to say, it just feels like I'm going to be secondary in this relationship. I feel so
Yeah.
alone when I'm sitting with him in the same room. Compromise does not feel like something easy to come by. His needs are more important than mine. His feelings are more important than mine. I feel like I have been wanting to accept ending this relationship. He has stopped talking to me for weeks at a time throughout our relationship. Mind you, it's a
Weeks?
long distance relationship.
What
Weeks?
Yeah, that means it's over.
Weeks?
All right, yeah. Stop holding on to nothing. Literally, it's more than expired. It's nothing. It's not.
So he'll
It's long distance, and you go weeks.
go weeks is crazy. He will go for without weeks at a time throughout the relationship and will do it without telling me he is taking space. He has threatened to break up with me often. He finally did in March this year, and I was devastated. Don't know why, but he still continued to call me every day and talk to me and ask me to come see him as if nothing changed. Migdalia on the YouTube live says secondary. She's not even on the list.
Yeah.
She says recently his ex texted him while I was with him and he was showing me a reel. He tried to lie and say it was a different friend. He was visiting me on my birthday, and I made a screensaver hunt that ended in a surprise party for him with all his friends in the city. The next day, he told me he was going to leave and go hang out with people, but didn't want to tell me who it was because he felt like I was trying to take away his independence and he needed a sense of freedom. The next day is when his ex texted him asking if he was still asleep. He swears that he didn't see her the night before that when he wouldn't tell me where he was. When I was trying to end things, ensuring how I was feeling, his first response was that he didn't want our friends to be influenced by something like this. It seemed to matter more about what they would think than about my feelings. I told him that I can't do this anymore. He said he wanted this and he wanted to make our relationship official again, that he was committed to me and feels we have something real and he wants to hold on to that. He's insane. But
He's a narcissist.
his actions do not match his words. I feel like
Yeah.
a shell of a woman I was before I met him. I love him deeply.
You gotta get out. And
You gotta
rebuild.
get out.
You gotta get out and
should-
rebuild yourself.
You should not love him deeply.
This guy is a master
He's a bad
manipulator.
person.
He's not a
He's
good
great at
person.
this.
He
I'm
is a master manipulator.
Just taking a few notes. This
Yeah.
guy's insane.
He is,
I
but this isn't like a too far off story. Like,
It's not. It's not that uncommon.
Women will let themselves go through this very often. like,
Absolutely.
because they
absolutely
love
will.
somebody. But it's like, no.
Yeah.
Try and catch red flags at the beginning. If you can't, then you got to know when the relationship is expired. And as soon as they cheat, it's
Right.
like, get up out of there.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
Cheating, nah, get up out of there. Especially in a long distance relationship. There's
Like,
no more trust.
bro, just don't text him anymore. I don't. So
Stop
she's
showing up.
She said, obviously, so actions don't match the words. I feel like a shell of a woman. I love him very deeply. I have a high threshold and tolerance for being mistreated. You shouldn't. You should not have a high tolerance and threshold for being mistreated. That
Yeah,
is not what tolerances and thresholds are for.
not at all.
Not for that.
Know your value, women.
Come on now.
You
Also,
literally birth humans. Literally birth humans.
that's yeah, this is a different type of mistreatment here.
Yeah.
I also have a lot of patience due to the experience I had in my childhood and upbringing. I don't know what you could have went through to make this okay. But it hurts that it hurts to feel this way every day, to feel like I'm not chosen, to feel like I'm not considered. I'm not sure what I even need or want in posting this, but I think I need an outlet aside from ChatGPT. She is so funny. Why am I holding on to these tidbits of love I receive from him? Pardon me, judge. Part of me judges myself because I want to love myself more. You should, and leave. And then part of me thinks that it's just me. It's not just you. He sucks.
Okay. Yeah.
I really am the problem. Part of just me. I really am the problem, and I should be grateful that anybody wants to be. She doesn't love herself.
So when you have a manipulative man and then an insecure woman, this is what it creates.
That's what happens.
So women, you got to know your worth. Men, you got to do the inner work.
You got to not be a terrible person.
Well, yeah, not be insecure. And then yeah, the last part, you know, he started off as insecure. Then he just
went to bad.
He just went to like insane asylum.
Yeah, and then
is this story from Tampa?
I sure hope not. She says, part of me thinks I'm really in a problem. I should be grateful anybody wants to be with me. And then another part of me rolls her eyes because this just feels like I'm victimizing myself. I feel unappreciated and unconsidered and exhausted in my relationship, but I love him so much that I stick around. I don't know what else he needs to do to get you to leave him, but it seems like he's trying his best.
He's trying his best, and here's the thing with insecure men, I guess he did try and end it, but then he kept.
And then he came back.
Yeah. It's really hard for an insecure man to get into that confrontation of ending a relationship. So that's why he wants what's familiar and what feels good to him because he's an insecure guy. And then she just doesn't value who she is as a human, and then she's so caught up into this thing where she just keeps going. Yeah. Mama Deal said they both need therapy. Amen to that.
Yeah, they need a lot of things,
especially the dude. Well, especially the girl, because now she just after you go through so much emotional trauma, it takes a long. It doesn't just go away. You go through some emotional trauma, like that's going to sit with you until you sit with it and get rid of it.
Right. And this is why it's important to do self-evaluation before you get into a relationship, because the root of this is that she doesn't love herself to know that he doesn't love her. And she keeps thinking that the little pieces that she gets is him loving her when it's not. And so she's willing, for whatever reason, to have a high threshold for pain and suffering, when in reality, like, obviously we don't know what these people look like. We don't know what they talk like or anything like that. But there's got to be somebody willing to treat you better than that. They're just,
that ain't it. That ain't it. Says get up out of there.
Yeah.
Get up out of there. You gotta get up out of there. Stop visiting him.
Yeah.
What are the comments on that? Can you see the comments?
Oh yeah. I can. There was literally only one comment on this, and the one comment said, he can't be any more clear that he doesn't respect you, but you keep hoping for something else. You can't hope your way to happiness. Time to end it completely.
Yeah. And some of the best advice I've ever received was, you can love somebody from afar.
Yeah. Love them from a distance, man.
Don't ever have to.
Mind you, this is a long distance relationship. They're already loving from afar.
But you can love somebody and wish them the best and never speak to them again.
Never speak to them again, man.
And that's what you have to do with some of these relationships. Like, of course, you spend all this time together, whatever it may be, but
sure, I get it. But
you love them, but
love's not enough sometimes.
It's absolutely not. It's definitely not enough. No, this day and age, it's absolutely not enough, and you definitely need more than that. And it's an expired relationship. Get up out of there. Love him from afar, and love yourself enough to not,
or don't love him at all. She's
too emotionally invested. She's probably going to end up loving him for forever.
Which is
love
tough.
Him from afar. Oh yeah.
She's gonna get in one day. I anticipate her finding somebody who actually does like her, and she's gonna be telling the story about how terrible it was the first time.
Yeah. That's what these relationships are there to do, is to teach us what not to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Every relationship serves its purpose, and
Yeah.
then it's up to us to do the reflection to figure out why.
Yeah.
But yeah, this thing's been expired. So as soon as he cheated on you, this thing was
As
expired.
soon as he decided that sleeping with other women was the equivalent of
So
you
you
giving out
getting
your
a-
phone
yeah.
number, I get you guys set a boundary, and it is important for that boundary to be respected, but
Mhm.
that is not the action to
No, no,
take.
no. It's a conversation.
It's
to
a
be had.
conversation to be had.
But as the male, you shouldn't be put. That's not a boundary. That's a controlling boundary.
Sure.
So it's not a boundary. It's a controlling red flag.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
In my book,
Mm-hmm.
you can't control a woman on what she does with her own phone.
Right.
And if she's just giving it out for networking purposes, and that's what she said.
Right.
we
That's
have
what
to-
she, she
obviously we
likes to
have
connect and network, and where
Obviously we
she's a
have to believe.
social bug.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing like in our line of work. If we give out our Instagram or a number to a
Mhm.
woman,
It's-
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not for us; it's for the club.
Yeah,
So it's like if someone follows me on Instagram, or we give them the podcast Instagram or whatever, it may be,
Yeah.
it's just to connect and bring them back to the club.
yeah, I just hope everybody who heard that is listening.
Everybody who heard that,
because we can hear, but we gotta make sure we're listening all at the same
I just think that it's so important to really evaluate people's actions early on
Absolutely.
in a relationship and figure out where they're coming for, and then
Mhm.
you can empathize with it, or you can get rid of them.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the controlling thing is kind of like where, at least what I've seen in relationships, is where like that's when you need to expire the relationship and get up out of there, or start to pull yourself yourself away from the relationship a little bit,
Mhm.
and then see how they react to you not being as available
Available.
in the
Mhm.
relationship.
And if you have control issues, the last thing you should ever do is start trying to explore a long distance relationship where you have
Oh
the
my
least
God.
control of any relationship ever. Imagine me being controlling and jealous, and I want to be in a relationship with you from 3 states away.
Yeah, nah.
You're
nah.
that you're crazy for even attempting
I have
something
done
like that.
one long distance.
Yeah,
for a
you're
little bit,
crazy
but,
for that.
Well, it started close distance.
Started close, and then you tried to.
We tried long distance, and then
Yeah.
it didn't last.
I could have told you that wasn't. I might have told you it wasn't going to work. I don't know. It depends on when it was.
God's plan, not mine, man.
Yeah,
That's all I can say.
Clearly,
God's plan, not mine. But like I said, every relationship serves its purpose.
Yeah.
And you got to be grateful for that. Figure out what it's trying to teach you. I hope this teaches her self-love, and
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I genuinely hope she comes out of that okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Because people like him obviously are crazy, and those things like we talked about before can get dangerous.
Yeah.
And
that
so
goes to the other red flag of then the last one we went over was domestic violence. But yeah, it's really hard. We can know the red flags in and out, right?
Yeah.
But when you like somebody and you start to build a relationship with somebody, all those little things that happen, you don't really see them as a red flag. You just see it as, oh, that's just who they are.
That's just a thing that they do.
I gotta preach to myself sometimes.
Yeah.
That's just who they are. That's just what they do.
Right.
But it's like, no, it's a red flag. So you should have a conversation about it.
Yeah, you should address it.
And 100%. And then how they react to that conversation is how you should react to that relationship.
Right. Absolutely.
So in that situation, as the female, she should have been, why is it such a big deal for us to give out our number if this is our job, or like if our job is to network or whatever it may be, because it's still important to have friendships.
Right. But the other thing is why I think the better question is, why did you feel like that was the appropriate response to this?
Oh, well, that's because he's insecure. Yeah.
Like, why would you think, you know what I'm saying?
Logically, he's so insecure. So
he's got to push it to the max to make sure he feels like he's back in control.
Right. What she did to him. So that's what he wanted to do to her and himself, to make himself feel better and more secure.
Yeah. In a long distance relationship, bro, you would have never heard from me again.
But that leads me to a question, since we're talking about like giving out phone numbers.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
When you're in a relationship, is the female allowed to have male friends, and is the male allowed to have female friends?
So my I don't even really have a rule regarding this, but I have a lot of friends of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
So I'm not a hypocrite. I try not to be. So
Mhm.
I'm like, cool, you have male friends. But I do have a caveat to that is like you meeting men and them talking trying to become buddy with you
Exactly. That's the difference.
now
Right.
is,
Yeah, yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? If you got friends before, we were together and before, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing, whatever. But you meet some random dude somewhere and then you had a conversation. You told him you had a man. He was like, oh, let's be friends.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? You told me that that's how that conversation went. I'm like, come on, man. You know, so let's, yeah.
I can see that. I understand that to an extent, but then that kind of goes into the same with the controlling
Yeah, I mean, she's in
thing.
control of whatever, but like I said, those are the things I'm weary of. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
something I would be like, I don't know.
How did they become your bestie from you just met him 3 months ago?
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. You know what I'm
When this
saying?
guy was your bestie 2 years ago, so then what happened?
Yeah. Because then the
Mhm.
problem is that, and
I can respect that.
I'm gonna tell it. Let me speaking of that, it's a funny story.
Mhm.
Because a young lady who I was with, I had some, yeah. She had a male friend who basically he had a girlfriend and he would confide in her
Mhm.
about all those things, whatever. And but then while her and I were together, he would number one, he would like, oh, let's hang out. Cool, friends hang out. But one thing they did was they went to a wine tasting. And I was like, okay, let's
Yeah.
enter it. It's a little intimate, but cool, whatever. We're friends, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. But then there was another instance where she was at my apartment, she was staying the night. I wasn't there because I was out doing, I was like working or whatever the case is. And
Mhm.
he was like, oh, we should go out. It's like, oh, I can't, I'm saying I'm staying out here. And I like, oh, there's a bar right over there by, where he's at. You can just come out because it's right next to it and it's fine. And I was like, you trying to get you out the house at a bar at 9, 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's
To
a little
hang out
different.
with
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And I'm
And
like,
it's just one on one.
and
That's
it's
a little
just
different.
one
Yeah.
on there's certain hours to be friends. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like I got female friends, and if they're in a relationship with somebody, I'm not trying to hang out with you past a certain time. You got, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That's just not like if it's a group of us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
it's
if I
different
if I
stuff.
go home back to Maryland and it's like our college friends or whatever, you know what I'm saying? We go out,
Mhm.
that's one thing, but I'm not personally trying to get you with just me and you. Let's go do this thing and let's stay out all night and
Yeah.
and do a
Nah.
thing. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? There's lines, you know what I'm saying? But that's just where
Nah.
I'm at with
I
it.
agree. I agree. I
Um,
agree.
but
All
yeah,
right.
that was fun,
Let's
right?
do let's do one more.
Let's
We'll
do
do
one
one
more.
more. We're gonna today, yeah, today's episode we keep it a little bit shorter
Yeah. Okay,
because
cool.
we actually gotta do a little bit of planning and mapping.
Planning and mapping, baby.
Planning and mapping.
All right. So here we go. So my 32 okay, so my 32 male, my wife, who 29-year-old female, just told me she cheated on me. This got uploaded 5 hours ago.
Wife. Oh, 5 hours ago.
So
What happened?
this is fresh. So we've been together since 2018, moved in together August 2020, got engaged August 2021. Hold on. Okay, been together since 2018, moved in together August 2020. Okay, cool. 2 years. Got engaged August
But
20.
you should wait till you're married before you move in.
Probably. Got engaged August 2021 and married October 2022. About a year into our marriage in 2023, we started seeing some cracks. Naturally, that's how marriages work,
Yep, 1 year.
right? We started being distant, not communicating clearly. My wife was very stressed out with her job and she was working insane hours. She also traveled out of state to corporate headquarters once a month. Our relationship was definitely suffering at this point. She didn't really have any time for me slash us. I'm talking wake up at 6, start working, stop working at 10 p.m. Sounds like AIL days. Go to and then to go to bed. This went on for several weeks at a time. She occasionally found time and energy for her friends, but not for me. Our sexual life was suffering as well. I obviously chalked it up to her job being stressful and blamed it on the company creating a toxic work environment. Naturally, she finally left her job in May 2024 because she recognized it was unbearable. I thought she stuck with the job for way longer than she should have, but figured better late than never.
Hmm.
And I thought now we could reconnect and things would get better again. Yay. I supported her taking as much time as she needed to recover from her last job before jumping into a new one. We took a month-long international vacation. Oh, they was making money. Long international vacation together, and things looked better. I felt connected again, and I thought things would go back to the way they were before. Things started going downhill when we came back. My job was unbearable. She was still taking time off, and both of us were caught up in our own worlds. She was feeling depressed about not finding the right opportunity for a career pivot. She was also going to therapy for a lot of things I wasn't privy to. Interesting. But she had been seeing a therapist for a while, so I didn't think twice about it. One weekend in October 2024, isn't that when they okay, yeah, one weekend in October 24, she wasn't acting typical, so I poked more than usual and coaxed it out of her. She wanted a divorce. What?
Mm.
Okay, that's crazy. That's such a quick escalation. I was devastated. I didn't know how all of a sudden when we could go from reconnecting to wanting to separate. I had been resistant to couples therapy before. Probably a bad call on my part. Probably if your wife is asking you to go to couples therapy,
She
it's probably for a reason,
probably do it.
right? But I would do anything to save this marriage. We started couples therapy immediately and uncovered a bunch of issues, mine and hers, over the last 8 months. I have been working on improving my emotional availability and making sure I can support her in the best way possible. We made so much progress. We felt connected again. We started taking weekend getaways again. Our sex life improved significantly, but something still felt amiss. He had a gut feeling something was still
You
wrong.
gotta listen to
You
your instinct.
gotta listen. My wife feels great about us, but not herself. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why until today morning. Wow, 5 hours ago, this got uploaded. This morning, he found this out. Um, but she said she needed to talk to me before I hit the gym in the morning. I was a little taken aback, but a key learning from therapy was to not run away when tough conversations come up. Good
Amen.
job, brother. So I
I've
asked,
learned that from my last
yeah,
gym. So I have the tough conversations when I have those feelings.
when it's time to have them, when it's time to have them, man.
Hmm.
So I asked her to give it to me straight. This is when she tells me that she cheated on me. Ooh, first thing in the morning, bro. Come on, let me go to the gym first.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I'm not going anymore.
let me go to the gym before
All
you
right.
tell me you cheated on me, please.
100%. Especially in a marriage.
First thing in the morning, bro. Can you imagine?
Good morning. I gotta talk to you. What the-
No. Can this wait for an hour? I'll be back.
Wait till after work. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is tough. So, after further digging, I found out the extent of the cheating. I found that she was having a full on affair with her boss, 48-year-old male. Jeez, this guy's 16 years older than them. For over 2 years, starting March of 2022. I'm sorry, let me just go back to some dates here.
So that was
They
a year
were
after they got married.
no. They got married in October 2022. They were sleeping together since March of 2022. So between them
Oh.
getting engaged and getting married is when the affair started.
Mm.
Jeez, for over 2 years, starting from March 2022, May 2024, when she left her job. So that's when it stopped. Her boss is probably a sexual predator psychopath who's now moved on to his next important thing. Don't be trying to make him. Maybe he is those things, but
It
that's
just
not.
happened 5
That's not
hours
where the
ago.
focus.
He's in denial. He's still in denial.
God, he's still in that phase. I understand. I understand.
I understand. Yeah,
I get it.
I'm not sure what I would do.
Yeah, that's crazy. I am furious and devastated. I spent the last several hours crying, screaming, and hitting walls around the house. I asked my wife to stay with her parents for the week. I don't have family in the area. We own our house, don't have any kids. We have a dog. I am an immigrant. That seems important. So many things in the past are now making sense. Small things that I didn't understand before with this new information makes a ton of sense. I
Mhm.
feel gaslit through. That is crazy though, because they were going through couples therapy and this never came up.
Mhm.
They never said anything about the cheating. And so, yeah, I feel gaslit through couples therapy because a lot of it was about how I needed to improve and express my feelings and be there for her, which is probably
Which is
part
true.
of it.
Probably part of it.
But the cheating not to come up during that time in a safe space to
Mhm.
discuss it, that's not nice. I have been nothing but supportive throughout our entire relationship. This is probably just my perspective though, and while I know I was lacking in several areas, I was blissfully unaware of things under the surface. I'm feeling very angry, sad, and lost. I still very much love her and want to keep building a life with her, but I can't help but think, if this is still gnawing at me in the future, where do I go from here? The problem is she's already asking for a divorce and she cheated on you. You trying to
But
keep
then
her there.
yeah. then they did couples therapy.
Yeah, but
So she
yeah.
might be wanting to stay, but
Well, they did the couples therapy. Well, she's been trying to do the couples
as the
therapy.
woman, why are you letting him marry you when you're already in a premarital affair? Come on, you gotta
Between
women.
between the
L
engagement and the marriage, you're supposed to be in love.
L for women right there. Yeah, you got I don't care who it is, but if you're already doing it, then that's when you gotta call the engagement off and not like put a whole marriage to that.
Leave them at the altar. I don't. Maybe that would suck more. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you have to call the wedding off.
You got to call it off, bro.
The good thing is there's no kids involved.
Yeah, just the
That's
dog. So
terrible situation. Obviously, it just sounds like it's a lot to do with emotional intelligence from the male's perspective,
Yeah.
which not a lot of guys are taught that. So
Yeah.
she probably just started feeling that disconnect, and then obviously, what do human beings do when
Right.
they feel that disconnect? They find that connection somewhere else.
right.
So then that's when his intuition was like, oh, well, it's just weird because we're not connecting. Obviously, when you're not connecting, they're going to find connection somewhere else.
Mhm.
So then, as the male, it's your job to do the digging and ask where, like, figure out where they're trying to find that connection,
Right.
and then kind of go from there. I think that if he had done a little bit more digging and asking,
Yeah.
and going based off his intuition and gut feeling, and having those tough conversations, obviously he seems like a really like nice person who
Seems like it.
who avoids the tough conversations.
Yeah.
But if he just a little early on went back into it with his intuition and gut feeling and started the tough conversations, he could have found out a little bit sooner.
Yeah. This is one of those tough things because it's like when, like he said, some things just kind of start to make sense once you get that piece of information.
Exactly.
So then you think about, like, he probably thinks about those long hours. Why did she have to even be there until 10 p.m. every night? Or was this what was happening? You know how that's got.
But then you start to think about it and overthink it. Then you just going to turn yourself into a grave. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a very terrible situation,
Yeah.
and it's a women L at the end of the day for her for even going through it with the wedding at that point in time.
Yeah, man.
As an adult, because she's older or he's older. She's 29.
Yeah, she's 29. He's 32.
Women apparently mature faster than men. So as an adult,
He was 48, 20 years older than her.
20 years older than you should
Be your father.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you got to call that off because you're in you're getting married and you're already in
Having an affair. That's not a good start.
Crazy.
That's
Like,
not a good start.
why?
Yeah.
Why keep both of them around? You already have the boss. Like,
Yeah.
why would you want why would that don't make any sense, especially once you bring God into the relationship of like with marriage and now you're committing adultery. And then it just becomes real sticky. Unless the other guy was really rich and then she just wanted him for his money.
Had to be.
Well, yeah, I guess they took that
yeah,
month-long
so they have
vacation or
money,
whatever.
which
Yeah,
means the
so-
boss probably's got, you know what I'm saying?
So I guess the guy she married had money as well. So
yeah.
I would say that was the only thing that maybe stopped her from doing that, or had it been a key factor in doing that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the dude is just in a very terrible situation, but it is an expired relationship, in my opinion, because it is it's an affair. It's not a one-time deal. Now, if it's a one-time deal and you really love her and you were married and you had kids, then it's like, let's talk about it.
Right. All right.
But a full-on blown affair, no kids. Yes, we were married.
A 2-year
yes,
affair.
Yes, we are married. A 2-year affair with no children. I know we're married and I know I love you, but I just don't think you. How do you rebuild that trust that she broke?
It would take so much time.
And you're better off just giving your energy to somebody.
Hey, you're 32, man.
Yeah,
you got time.
Yeah, you're not old. You're not that old.
You
Especially
probably-
for a male. Like males, we got a longer fertility clock than women. So yeah,
you got at least until you're 48. Sorry. All right, you're right. That was uncalled for.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's
I feel for him though.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's one of those stories you hear. It's like, you think your relationship bad, man. Just listen to this guy's story. It's even worse.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's a few comments on here, right? So
already, yeah, you gotta go. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the women, it almost falls in the category as that crazy guy. You know what I'm saying? Of like doing this.
Yeah, really, yeah, starting the cheating between the engagement and the marriage, going through with the marriage, and then going, well, I guess asking, I get that asking for couples therapy. Maybe if they went to couples therapy earlier, this gets uncovered earlier so they could talk about it
Mhm.
earlier. It's very, very possible.
Ask
Um,
questions based on your intuition, though. Like,
yeah,
just
man.
get them out of there. So that way, if you feel something's off, maybe
Maybe.
90% chance it could be off.
It's,
Just ask a question.
yeah, yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
what are you really doing at work? Or what, like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Why you
How
have to
bad do you
go?
really need to be there
Yeah.
this late all the time?
Like,
All the
what?
time?
Yeah, all the time. What else is going on? You seem distant. What is going
Yeah.
on? Like, you've been acting a little bit strange lately by
Yeah.
doing this and this. What seems to be going on? That's literally like once you have those that intuitive feeling, like you got to ask a question. You have to ask a question. There is no problem in asking a question to your partner in a committed relationship and having those tough conversations.
Right.
Like that's the whole point of relationships and how they build and grow. You don't want to be the person that just stands back, watches from the sideline, and then your wife cheats on you.
And then your wife, she's
No.
yeah. So somebody said here, you can't ever get past 2 years of deception and the harm that caused your relationship. All your decisions during those bad times were based on falsehoods. You don't need Reddit to tell you your next move here.
Yeah, get up out of there. You don't.
Yeah. Someone else here said the nerve of her to sit through therapy and talk about all the things he needed to fix to save the
It's
relationship while
crazy.
she was going at her boss nonstop. My head would explode. And then somebody here said, I have to concur. I always look for hope that some relationships can recover, but this is beyond anything one can get over. I feel for your pain here. Sure, you still have love feelings as they don't turn on and off quickly. Plus, keep in mind the person you thought you loved hasn't existed since before your wedding. Oof.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a tough
yeah,
pill to swallow,
yeah,
but it is a pill that needs to be
yeah.
swallowed. That's for
He said, since before the entirety of your marriage, she has been screwing her boss and she's faulting you for
sure.
emotional
Yeah.
distance. I suggest you call it now. Can you ever get past this? Can you ever imagine being close to her and intimate with her in the future? Ever and not constantly thinking about their sex for years. Right before the wedding, they'll have sex knowing the next time they'll be cheating. She'll be a married woman. Did they joke about it? Did she look forward to after the honeymoon?
Oh my
Jesus,
god.
why are you saying these things?
Yeah, I couldn't read that.
Oh my
If I was
god.
going through his situation and I read that, oh man.
Could you? Oh my gosh.
I just I feel like obviously there's a lack of emotional intelligence with this guy, which could have led to the distancing and the cheating because
Probably.
he doesn't really give any red flags of what she did in the beginning. He just said he
Right.
felt the distance. It was an intuitive thing,
Yeah.
but he doesn't give any actionable things of what she did.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were some red flags
Probably.
at the
Absolutely.
beginning. Like you didn't tell us where he met her.
Yeah.
That's probably going to serve something. Um, but yeah, I'm sure there were some red flags that he just doesn't really comprehend just yet,
I mean, that's what
especially
happens
with
when you be
everything
in love,
unfolding.
man. When you be, especially this is the woman you're
Yeah.
going to marry. She can't do no wrong in your eyes.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no way she's doing that.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She probably just going through something. She's stressed out. She's overwhelmed.
Even if a woman can do no wrong in my eyes, I'm still going to question the thoughts that come in my head, the intuition and the thoughts, the things that go through my head. I'm still going to question
That's
you on them,
tough, man.
and I'm still going to have those tough conversations with how I'm feeling because you have to have those conversations.
You have to.
You for your own sanity, you have to have those conversations. You can't just sit around on the sideline. And that's the most dangerous girl, the girl that can do no wrong.
The girl that can do no wrong is the most dangerous.
You got to have those tough conversations and go based on your intuition. It could be wrong. Your intuition could be
Yeah.
wrong, but at least you want to have that conversation and figure it out.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you could have saved yourself maybe like 2 years or a year and a half. I
They
don't know.
They weren't married that long. They got married October 2022.
Yeah, so
So
2.5 years.
Yeah. So like, you had this is still such an early
But they started dating in 2018.
2018, correct.
So this is a 7-year relationship.
Yeah, at this point. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
6.5, 7.
Yeah. That is
Yeah,
I don't
I feel for you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at this point, obviously, like, sometimes people's relationships do move past cheating. I don't know how often they
No.
move past 2-year affairs.
Yeah, don't. It's done. It's done.
Especially this early. What kind of precedents are you setting for the rest of this relationship?
Yeah. Move on. You'll find another one, brother. I promise you that.
Cheating is middle of the relationship thing. No, I'm joking, guys. Those are middle of the relationship privileges. You don't. We barely. I'm just joking.
Yeah,
I'm
not
just-
at the beginning, right?
I'm joking, guys. It's just a joke. Everybody, just calm down. Everybody,
Just calm
just
down.
relax.
No, cheating is never okay.
Yeah, never okay.
To do more than one. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's not okay to have an affair. One cheat, okay. An affair,
Well, if you're married and then there is like a cheating situation of like a one-time thing that happened,
Mhm.
the conversation can be had.
Right.
A full-blown affair
Of 2 years.
Yeah, no, there's
That's,
no conversation to be had. If it's a one-time thing, you got drunk, I don't know, whatever happened. At the moment just felt right.
There's got to be a discussion.
Drake was in Tampa and called you one time. Yeah, just let me know.
I praise the good Lord. Drake never called my girl. Hang up the phone.
Yeah. If you're my girl, that gives you no excuse. There is zero tolerance.
That's for everybody else's girl.
My
girl.
Everybody else. If it happens just one time and you're married, or if you've been in a long relationship, I would say that it's okay for you to have a conversation about it. Not saying that it's okay to do it. If you're my girl, zero tolerance.
If you're my girl, yeah, that ain't gonna fly. You know what I'm
play.
saying? If you're somebody else's girl,
as soon as it happens, let me know so I can leave. Don't let me waste any more of my breath, time, or energy on you. Just let me know I'm out of here. As soon as we have that conversation to be exclusive, it's exclusive for life.
For life, baby.
For life.
For lifers.
Then we out of here. Yeah, zero time. So if in my relationship, if that happens, then the woman just has to tell, or vice versa. You just have to have the balls enough to tell.
But that's also a tough thing, though.
It is.
That's
to
a
have
super tough thing.
So you should practice having tough conversations now. So if you ever do that, you got to have a conversation.
But tough conversations about your transgressions is probably one of the tougher things to do. I know people talk a lot about they didn't even, like you said, have the balls to come to me and say, well, yeah, that's a hard to, because when you do love somebody, you don't ever want to hurt them.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? So when you did something that you know would hurt them, and then now I have to, it's like telling your parents you got a bad grade on a test when you was growing up, you know?
But the caveat to that is, you did something that would hurt them, but by you hiding it and staying in the relationship even longer, it's going to hurt them even more when they find out down the road.
Correct. And that's the thing, right? That's the risk reward factor of it. You have to decide either do they find out now or do they find out later? What are the consequences now? And that's what people weigh out.
So maybe let the consequences know early. Like, hey, if you do this, just tell me. I'll give you another chance, but don't and leave. I've read that somewhere.
It's funny. My girl told me that apparently I said that to her, that I said that if she ended up cheating on me once, then that's something I said I would come back and we could talk about and probably work through. I was like, when did I say that?
Yeah. You probably say it to be like, just so you can tell me, so I'm more willing to hear it. And so it's an easier conversation for you to have. But in your head, it's like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
I was like, I said that?
Yeah, no, I would tell my girl the same thing.
I was like,
if it ever happens, just let me know so we can talk and work through it.
Yeah.
But in the back of my head, I'm like, no. Tell me so I can get up out of there.
I told her I would only stay if I had already cheated first. So then we're even.
We're keeping scores.
It's 1-1, baby. All
right. We're gonna wrap things up here. Definitely the woman in the first story and then the dude in the second story, man. Relationships can be tough and tricky, and that's why it's important to really be aware of your partner's past relationships so you know how they could and should act. And be aware of your past relationships so you can judge your own actions and reactions.
Yeah.
And then to be aware of red flags and how people can use them.
Yeah.
Early on.
Yeah.
And to go slow and distance yourself. Don't do these fast relationships where you're hooking up so fast, you're creating a physical bond, you're trying to create an emotional bond, you're staying on the phone too long. No. Take your space, take your time, build it slowly so that way you can really see who this person is underneath.
Yeah.
And if they're a good person or not.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's my advice for today. Any final thoughts for you?
Yeah, man. I mean, the main thing I think in both of these scenarios is that you have to understand who you're with. Having an understanding of who you're with, like you said, history is going to repeat itself. Whatever they did in their past relationships, there are things that are going to be residual there. So, like you said, understanding why they are the way they are is going to be super important because that's going to have a lot to do with what they're doing with you. Number one. Number two, there's certain things that are just irreparable. The story, this first story, there's certain things that you just can't work through. I'm all for talking things out. I'm all for I'm always trying to figure out how can things be fixed, how can things be better, how can we make it make sense. Certain things you just can't get through. Both of these are things that I would imagine anybody would have a tough time getting through. That first girl needs to literally never see that man's face or think about him ever again. This second couple, man, it's a super tough thing to deal with. But at the end of the day, man, I think everybody just needs to get out. Abusive people are not okay. Manipulators are not okay. Cheaters are not okay. Unless it's me. All right, that's all I got today. I'm just joking. Everybody, calm down. They're so serious on this podcast all the time.
So serious. All right, we appreciate you guys joining in this week, and we'll see you guys on another episode next week. Thank you.